Don't just go and say, hey, we didn't get where we wanted this year, so we got to do a complete overhaul. Let's go rebuild completely. I'm going to use your bills as an example, like maybe too soon, but you're right there.
So we're here in sunny Las Vegas for the IRE 2026. With me, I have Michael Gogan of Alivo. Fun fact, I've been mispronouncing that name for about 4 or 5 months now.
You got it right this time.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I'm big on, learning and adapting, right?
Yeah.
But the client that had introduced me to the product, he was mispronouncing it. So I got to make sure that I get back to him and let him know, like, hey, you're butchering this thing.
Butchering it.
Yeah. How was your flight in?
It was good. It was good. Yeah.
No turbulence, no nothing?
No turbulence, direct in, direct out. So
yeah, love that for you. Where'd you fly in from?
Omaha.
Omaha. What is Alivo?
Alivo, we are the high level, we're AI agents that we built for home service contractors. Started with home service contractors. We've kind of niched into roofing, exteriors just pretty heavily though.
Yeah.
But our agents are built to handle basically that front end lead that comes in, and it comes in at an inopportune time. So you don't have a human ready to take it. We handle all that, drive to booked appointments. We also have an agent that's going to handle follow up. Post, I give you the proposal and you don't sign on the spot. We know most sales reps are maybe 1 or 2 shots at that, and then it's, off and we're low hanging fruit. And then the final agent we currently have, and we're always adding agents, but is a review agent that's going to say, hey, how did we do in this job? If it's not good, obviously we're not asking for a review, but if it's good, then we're going and asking for that Google review. If it's not good, we're triaging, getting them to the right people.
Got it. So how do you tackle the disdain that people have for, everybody? You watching this, I'm sure, you're on the phone with Verizon, and then they force you into these voice-activated situations, right? And it's like, well, tell me more about what you're calling about. And I'm hammering the 0 button trying to get a real person, right? And then it's like, no, but first you got to tell us a little bit about why you're calling so we can route it properly, right? And I'm like billing, and they're like, okay, you'd like to add a new line. And I feel like there's a lot of disdain between like an AI workflow taking place because of those past experiences that we've had where it's just so god-awful bad, right? So how have you guys tackled that and made it an effective product for the customer experience?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing when we communicate to a contractor and we talk about it is just calling a spade a spade. Like, this isn't, and I won't throw any airlines under the bus, but airlines are one of the worst at this.
Yeah.
This isn't that, where it's very, theirs aren't like intelligently having conversation with you. They're basically just glorified, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. It's like, tell me more about billing. And then, like you said, it's like they're trying to find like 3 things that they're going to grab onto and keep going. Where for us, we go in on the very beginning and we train the agents on the business, on the goal. We lead with the fact that it is an AI agent. We don't hide behind that. Hey, this is Lily, your AI.
Trick people into thinking they're talking to a human.
No, and we make it very clear right away that we are going to help them solve their goal, and just the communication is efficient. So it's like you can have a booked appointment in a couple minutes with an AI agent, or you can leave a message and hope that they call you back in a time that's going to be, good for you to actually answer the phone. So I think that's the biggest thing is like making sure that it's no secret that some of these are terrible. I tried making an appointment the other day and for my kid to go to the doctor. I was like, oh, I'm in this AI game. I'll play with it. Yeah. And it was awful.
Yeah.
It was going really well. And then it started getting to some insurance thing. And I was finally like, I don't have insurance. I'll just pay for it. Because I do, but I'm like, it couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And so, just the training and continued training, those kind of things. The other big thing is a lot of these companies maybe aren't quick to adapt technology. So a lot of these big corporate giants that have some sort of AI or, fancy automation, they've really just half-assed it and they're not making it better. Whereas every day, we're making our agents better. We're training them better, those kind of things.
Like that. So welcome back to another episode of the Mission Control Podcast. Look, I got ahead of myself, okay? These things happen. We're episode 120-ish, something like that. I'll get with Christian on that, so next time I know exactly what episode it is. But as we introduce Michael Gogan with Alivo, Senior Vice President of Sales. Is that your title?
Vice President of Sales, but you can throw the senior.
I like the senior.
Yeah, I like it too.
Nice. I'm going to do that for you.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys for joining in and locking in with us. And then shout out to the team at Roofer. Look at great company. If you need instant roof quotes, measurements, CRM, clean and pristine proposals, which will give your customers, well, prospects, no choice but to buy. Match that description link. It's going to be, you're going to be happy that you did it. And then maybe you can get with Mike and figure out how you can answer more calls. And it's a real problem, right? The non-answered calls, and I like how you so eloquently put it, at inopportune time. So, and that inopportune time could be you have someone manning the phones, and at 3 p.m. or 4:17 p.m. somebody's calling, but that person's on the conversation with a current customer or with a prospect, right? And it rings a few times, then that person doesn't get answered, or she has to interrupt the experience of the person that she's on the phone with, put them on hold, and then go address it. It's not a great situation. Right. So for years it was, have an answering service. Have somebody where after 3 rings, 4 rings, that it batches out, because people don't want to wait. We're in the microwave mentality. I want it right now. Thanks, Bezos. You ruined everybody, right? Click here, buy now. You'll have it by 5 p.m. And now nobody wants to wait for anything. So having something in place has always been a huge mantra of mine, because that homeowner, they're going to call somebody else. And whether it's a night, weekend, holiday, or during business hours when your team's occupied, it's essential, especially when people are investing so heavily into marketing, to get a live party contact. It's less important if you're 100% referrals, because, you know, if I reach out to you and I'm like, hey man, I'm very interested because I had 7 people tell me about how great your product is, and you don't answer the phone, I'll probably wait for you. I'm not going to go scouring the internet looking for an alternative provider. But if I'm just like, hey, I'm looking for this type of product or service, who do we got? And I start calling people, well, you don't pick up the phone, you're dead to me. I'm going right to the next one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with if you don't pick it up, people want, I've been using the line, people want confirmation now versus conversation later. And that has changed. Like, my parents probably were like, oh yeah, I'll leave a voicemail, or I'll talk to an answering service and tell them my problem, and I'll sit here and wait for the call back.
Yeah.
We're not that way anymore. Like you said, it's, Amazon, it's now. Netflix, you don't have to wait till next Wednesday to watch a show. It's like you get the whole season today.
Yeah.
You get everything in real time, and that's what we expect as consumers. And so, you call and you're like, I just need confirmation that you're going to come do this. I even think on the referral side, like, you're going to be more patient. But for me, usually when I pick up the phone, it's not like, now if it's obviously a major problem, it might be immediate, but it's like something I've been thinking about for a while.
Yeah.
And now in my brain, I say, I've decided today's the day that I'm going to get this fixed. I'm going to probably maybe look at a referral first, but if I have that referral, or I've heard good things, I probably maybe have multiple of those where it's like, or it's pretty easy for me to go figure out what somebody would be comparable on Google.
Yeah.
Like, they got a 4.8. So let me just Google search and here's another 4.8 in my area. I decided right now is when I want to get this roof inspection done, or whatever it is. I'm calling somebody else type of thing. And so it's just, that's that ability to give them, peace of mind now is so important.
Yeah, and full transparency, you're going to see a second link down in the description. It's going to be a partnership link between Ascend and Alivo. And the reason why that partnership link exists is I have a couple clients that have been using the platform for 6+ months. In one instance, the other one's around 4 or 5 months, and have heard nothing but great things. You have to be patient because you have to train the agent, is what I've been told. But once you get to the point where you're off the starting line and you're starting to hit your stride in that 800-meter race, it's been exceptional for them as far as answering. Because my immediate concern is like abandonment of calls. So somebody finds out it's an AI agent, they immediately hang up. One of my clients was like, I said, how is it going? Because we did see one of those instances, and I was just spot monitoring calls. Mm-hmm. Person heard it was AI, they hung up. I was like, how is this going for you so far? He's like, it's great. We sold a $40,000 roof at 2 a.m. And I was like, well, that's fucking incredible, right? I love that for you.
Yeah.
And I've tested it, right? I called through, I talked to Lily, and I'm trying to throw her curveballs, and she has a remarkable ability to handle those curveballs in a way that doesn't disrupt the experience and doesn't send me down a path that I'm not trying to go down. So kudos to you guys on that.
Yeah, thank you. I think one thing, and there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. There's other players in this game. Obviously, I think I picked the winner, but
Sure.
You can shop around. The one thing, and it's so simple, but when you're talking about Lily and how she handles curveballs, if you say, "Hey, my roof's leaking," or "I've got shingles in my front yard, I don't know what to do," Lily is empathetic to the point where she's going to say, "I'm sorry to hear that." And you can tell like the ones that know what they're doing in building these AI agents and the ones that really don't have a clue what they're doing in that answer alone. Like there's a lot of places where you can find it, but a lot of them will be like, "Well, that's great to hear. We can help you with that." Like nobody wants to hear that's great to hear. And like those abandonments, you say something like that to me and I'm like, all right, I'm already on the fence about talking to this AI agent. They just said, "It's great to hear my roof is leaking. I'm out of here," type of thing. So
yeah, that's a good point. Also, to your point, like if I'm searching for something, I've probably been thinking about it. Some needs are more urgent than others. So if, you get a hurricane and half your roof blows off, obviously there's a higher sense of urgency than if like, hey, I found a shingle laying in my yard, right? We understand that. But anyone who's on a journey, whether they're top of funnel, middle, bottom of funnel, they do want that connectivity and that conversation now. And that conversation, hey, they might submit a web form. And there's a correlation with demographic here. They might call now. They might do an instant quote. They might text message you if you have that ability. But they want to solve their problem now. And solving that problem might be getting somebody on the schedule for one estimate. It might be 5, it might be 3. But the quicker we can get our hat in the ring and get that initial commitment, right? It starts with answering the phone. Then from there, it's the follow-up to that is booking the appointment and then making sure we show up for the appointment and do a good job, right? Because far too often what's happened in these types of environments, like, somebody sets up an answering service, let's say, and they don't tie in integration to their calendar. So what's happening is I'm Mike, it's 7:13 p.m., right after Johnny's soccer practice. My wife's been on my ass coming for me about the roof. So I call, right? And I get an answering service. And it's a great answering service. They do a great job. They take all my information. Now what?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm waiting for sales reps to call me back, right? And in the meantime, I'm calling other people. And let's say I want 2 estimates. And I get 2 people that book, on-site estimates for me for the next 2 days. By the time your sales rep calls back, I don't give a shit. Like I've got what I need to make the decision. You've solved my problem. I could tell my wife, "Babe, take a deep breath. We're good. I did my part. We got 2 guys coming out tomorrow," right? So by the time you assign it to your rep, and a lot of the times that downstream process kind of sucks in a lot of companies, right? Like you get information and the leads assigned or dispersed. And sometimes it's the sales rep's fault. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they just got a ton of shit going on. And by the time they get to it, it's too late. So you got to capitalize on every single opportunity that you can as quickly as possible. Because in a year like 2025, where a lot of people had down years or didn't have growth years, it's kind of like a break-even year, which if you did that, good job, because it was a shit year for a lot of people. My mantra for 2026 is high floor, right? So how do we do everything we can to not only have a high ceiling, but in a down year have a high floor? Answering the phone, assigning leads, and booking appointments in the most succinct and easy way possible for the customer is 100% in alignment with that high floor.
100%. You hit on a couple of really important things. I love if you're married and you're tuning into this, how many times have you and how freeing does that feel? Like, I don't care if I talk to Lily, the AI agent, or John, the sales rep. Honey, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, got an appointment.
We're good here.
We're done. and I honestly, I feel like there's enough price transparency through, ChatGPT and Gemini and all the stuff that's out there. I almost feel like to get 2 or 3 roof quotes for something now is more of, I'm just hoping one of those people actually calls me back or shows up and fulfills it so that I can get this done. Versus, you'd go back 10 years ago and it was like, all right, we're putting all 3 on the table and we're going to PCs, we're pretty quick to make buying decisions in 2026.
Yeah.
I just need to be able to make a buying decision. So I'm able to say, honey, tomorrow they're coming out. Now it's like off my plate. I check that box. So I think that's really, really important when you think about like, how are we getting this done? The other one is ask yourself how many times you leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the closest thing to zero. That's not zero.
Yeah, it's
for me.
It's like 10% is what the stats say. 10% of the time that your phone rings and it's not answered, you're getting a voicemail. And so I love that line when I say, well, hey, how many voicemails do you come into in the morning? Well, not very many. Usually only like 1 or 2 from the night before.
Yeah.
Well, did you know that 10% of the time people are actually leaving a voicemail when they call a business?
I think it's usually the unks that are the older folks that are leaving, the boomers, they leave the voicemail. Although I will say, there has been an increase in the percentage of times I will leave a voicemail now that they have like the live answer interruption. When like you're leaving a voicemail, it happened to me yesterday. I was leaving a voicemail and homie picked up mid voicemail. I was like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
So that has increased.
Yep.
Because before, I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I left a voicemail. But I did do that yesterday and it actually worked. The person answered. I was like, this is great.
Yeah. I mean,
love that for me.
Yeah. Like Pete Smith, who pretty well known in the space. Like if you call him, his voicemail answering literally says, shoot me a text. I'm not going to listen to the voicemail.
Yeah.
Like I don't have time for it. Like,
I love how candid he is.
Yeah. Just like shoot me a text. I'm not listening. Obviously contractors are, but it's when are they getting back to those?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jan does that for us. You mean after she gets in and puts every fire out from the day before, is answering the phone, all these things like, and then now you're just hoping that you throw that dart right into my calendar as a consumer into a time slot that works for me. Because if you throw you call me back the next day and I'm in a meeting, whatever.
People are busy.
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of times we underestimate, like we understand how busy we are and how we handle things and how we move throughout our day, but not everybody's the same. Everybody has different shit going on. They have different schedules. They operate differently. So to your point, yeah, like maybe the follow-up time when Jade gets in is 10:37 because she ran through the shit that she had to do before that. And it's like, yeah, sorry, dude, 10 to 11, I'm booked 11 to 1. And, by the end of the day, 2 other people hit me up at a time that worked for me.
Yep.
Why leave it to coincidence?
Exactly.
All right. So having someone like Lily on your team can help with that.
Lily helps a lot.
Lily helps a lot. That's incredible. What do you see as we move forward into 2026? You've been in the roofing space for some time now. What do you think that what's one adjustment that a contractor can make to make 2026 the best year that they've had?
So I've been in the game for a while. I've been in the tech space the whole time. So like obviously 8 years with Company Cam, been in this tech space. I think knowing why you're plugging in technology. So we're getting ready to go IRE day one. We're going to walk the floor. There's going to be a ton of new fancy cool tech, just inevitably. And it doesn't even have to be tech. Like if you say you had a down year or a flat year in 2025, sometimes you can be like, oh, we have to change a whole bunch of stuff to get where we want to get in 2026. I think the biggest thing is like knowing what can we get better at and plugging in things, whether that be coaching, training, marketing, tech, to actually achieve getting better, if that makes sense. So like, don't just go and say, hey, we didn't get where we wanted this year, so we got to do a complete overhaul. Let's go rebuild completely. I'm going to use your bills as an example, like maybe too soon, but you're right there.
This fucking guy. You believe him? The audacity.
You don't need to go do a full rebuild. Like, let's maybe go grab a receiver. Let's maybe go do one or two things. But you're right there. Like, did you have the year you wanted? No. But it's not like I got to
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, obviously, if you're not answering the phone and the consumer is changing, like obviously I want you to come check out Alivo, sure. But like don't go and just grab onto all these things and be like, oh, we didn't sell enough, so we got to go hire this expensive sales consultant. We didn't do this. Now, if you go and look and you're like, oh, our conversion rates were garbage this year, yeah, maybe I do need to go talk to a Chuck Toki. Or if it's like, that's why we work so well together. It's pretty easy for us to tell a contractor like, hey, our agents are only good if the phone's ringing and the web forms are getting filled out. Go talk to Ascend. So
pull up. Yeah, it's a really good point because, if you have an equation and there's a lot of variables in the equation, let's say there's 10 variables and you change 5 of them and you get the net result you want on the other side of the equation, which one made the impact?
Yeah, what was it?
Right? And you just don't know. And It's funny when we're monitoring an ad campaign and we're making changes, and sometimes we do less because we want to hone in. We have an understanding of the context of the account. We understand what we're trying to do, and there's a few things we can change, but we want to change one, and then we want to see what the output or outcome is from that change. And maybe it's a net positive, maybe it's a net negative. And then we go to another assumption, and then we're testing these assumptions. It's more of like a scientific method. But you can't just be like, all right, yeah, like to your point, like flat year. All right, we're changing our entire sales process. We're hiring a business consultant. We're getting a new marketing agency. We're doing this. We're doing at first glance. Now, if you dig in and the shit that you're doing on marketing is absolutely trash, you should probably change your marketing agency. If you look and your sales reps are closed at 4 points lower, they're at 30% instead of 34%. I wouldn't say that's, we got to get new sales reps, right? Maybe that's the case, but also that's a symptom. You got to dig deeper to see what the root cause is. Like if you know that your marketing sucked, maybe it's the quality leads that they were getting, right? Maybe it's just some things that are uncontrollable. Like 2025 was a tough year for a lot of people, not a lot of weather events for people where that matters. And it just seemed like the consumer perspective and their willingness to be ready to buy was substantially lower as you compare it to the previous year. A lot more sales resistance for whatever reason. Maybe it's uncertainty, what have you, but at the end of the day, making rash decisions because you didn't have the year that you want or sweeping changes is probably not going to lend to the long-term outcome that you want.
Yeah, I think one thing you kind of hit on there at the end with the consumer being a little bit, I don't know if hesitant's the right word, but we use it. I think it has like, I'm a buyer.
Yeah.
I'm probably a little bit more hesitant. I think there's part of it that it's so easy for me to go and get information like at my fingertips.
Yeah.
And so I'm hesitant, but I'm also slightly more educated. And I think that just opens the door for like an ascend, like educate these homeowners, build trust with these homeowners. Somebody's winning. Like, yeah, obviously there was fewer roofs put on probably in 2025 than a lot of years just as a whole. But there's also companies out there, like you said, were flat or grew and what they're doing, those kind of things. And it all comes back to trust. How do I build that? How do I build that trust? How do I make sure that they know I'm there? Those kind of things. So.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a little tidbit here as far as building trust is concerned. So a lot of times if you build a website and somebody who knows what they're doing builds a website, you're going to have service area pages, right? So these are contextually relevant pages for the location and service that you're offering. So we're in Las Vegas, roof replacement in Las Vegas, or roofers in Las Vegas, what have you. What I would like to see you do or have your team do is have a video testimonial from a customer in that location and have that be the first thing they see when people land on that page. And whether you have 20 or 30 location pages, go and get 20, 30 video testimonials. Now, I know it's easy sitting here in this nice, comfy chair with a little leather armrest here to say, go get 30 video testimonials from happy customers. It's not as easy in practice. However, the utility of that page, not only from the likelihood of it getting picked up by search engines, fed onto the first page of Google because videos are ranking on the first page consistently on Google, or getting fed into the LLM models. Or you're just out canvassing a neighborhood, you have a door hanger and you have a QR code that sends them directly to that landing page of the neighborhood that they're in with a happy customer, right? It can be used, the utility of it is so strong and can be used in so many different ways that it's absolutely worth putting in the time, energy, effort, and the cost associated with getting that done. Because then again, you can also push that on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram Reels, where it doesn't necessarily have to be as contextually relevant, or it can be, right? Because if you're doing a targeted ad on Facebook to this community, because there's a storm coming or you just want to build brand presence, what better way than validating and having social proof of a happy customer in that area?
100%.
It's one of the most underdone and undervalued things, I would say, in roofing.
Yeah, and to your point, the 20 or 30 video testimonials, not easy. No. But I would also challenge, was it easy to sell 20, 30, whatever roofs you're selling per week today? Yeah. Was that easy day one? No, you figured out how to sell one. Once you figured out a process for selling one, you said, okay, let's go sell two. Let's go. And it's the same thing, like one bite at a time. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Let's go figure out how to do one. Let's get that. I love the idea of leading with that. I send them to a landing page, QR code from a door hanger. Now I'm going to take it a step further and a little shameless Alivo plug. Have a form on there and capture enough phone number and name on that first page of the form. Maybe they fill out that. Maybe it takes them to a booking link or something. But if you can get that phone number, email, their name on the first page of the form, they can go book on your web. When they don't book and they fall off, Evan, our agent that handles all the text, he can just be sitting right there ready to go saying, hey, so you didn't get your appointment booked. What do you need from us?
What you waiting for, cuz? What is the cadence to follow up? I'm assuming that varies and is dictated by the client.
100%.
But
so
do you guys have like a typical industry best practice?
Yeah. So we're, in all the different situations. So like if the lead comes from your website, we're going to have kind of like, hey, this is what we would potentially recommend. This is what we feel is kind of industry best practice. Tweak it as we want, and we'll tweak it with you. And we'll continue to tweak it as we go. If you're like, hey, this isn't hitting, perfect, let's go change. But that from your website form fill that gets abandoned, that's going to look a little different than like an Angie lead that comes through or a Google LSA lead that comes through. We're going to be a little bit more on top of that Angie lead just because we know that those are tough and competitive. I love the analogy. So we've got Evan's going to handle all that digital stuff, the texting, emailing, any form fills, Google LSA. Lily handles all the phone.
Yeah.
I just think of him sitting in an office and Evan gets that Angie lead. He's going to hit him with a text right away. People just read text. They open text. It's a great rate. People don't answer the phone a lot, especially when you just filled out a form for Angie and they've got 9 ringing. We want to book that appointment via text, but after a certain set amount of time, usually, a couple minutes, if Evan's not winning, he can holler across the hallway at Lily and say, hey, Lily, I can't get this guy on. Can you call him? And now we're making an outbound dial for that Angie lead. Very targeted. We're not believers in the spray and pray outbound. That ain't going to work. But if somebody's like, hey, I need my roof replaced, we're going to make an outbound dial in that case if we can't get them via text message first.
Is it a live transfer to the client that they're reaching out on behalf of?
Yep. We can live transfer anything. And that's really important too. And those are all custom. So if you're like, hey, we don't do live transfer after 7 p.m. ever, no worries. Lily or Evan, whoever's talking to the people, are like, hey, you're an existing customer. You've got a question about when your roll-off's going to get picked up. We'll have somebody from the office reach out first thing tomorrow morning.
So do you leverage that for rehash of existing customers or past?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Smart.
That's another huge thing. Just as we're able to do more and more with AI and outreach and those kind of things, make sure that you don't get down a path of maybe a unqualified business that you're working with and start spamming.
Yeah.
Because it's not a good, you've got to have all the legal things. So a lead enters through Alivo and we're going to get all the consent for us to be reaching out. You can't just go take your existing 3,000 clients.
Who never consented.
And just start spamming with AI. Now, there's ways we can get them to opt in and those kind of things and be strategic. And, that's stuff we can do with the send too of hey, let's run a fall gutter cleaning promo and get them to opt in that way type of thing.
Smart.
So.
Yeah, that's really good advice too. You don't want to land yourself in
you don't want those fines. Those fines are not fun.
Yeah, that's smart. You got any questions for me?
We've got a decent number of mutuals. I know for a fact we have 2 that are absolutely killing it. One, I won't share his numbers, but when I looked at his numbers this morning, I was like, holy cow. Crazy number of booked appointments using Evan and Lily. When you think about it from a marketing perspective, it's always your fault.
Oh, yeah.
If the marketing's not working, it's always my agency's fault. What would you say is the biggest reason why most people are missing with their marketing? Because there's other good agencies out there.
Yeah.
Somebody asked yesterday on Facebook and I said, hey, our clients are crushing it with these 3.
Yeah.
And I try to keep it to 3 so that it's because if I said, hey, go work with Ascend, I know you guys are going to do a great job, but if that's the only option I give them and it doesn't work. And they're like, Michael, you're an idiot. Like, when it's like, really, there's something about their brand, their follow-up. Where do you see contractors are missing the mark when it comes to their marketing most often?
Well, a lot of times, unfortunately, it's because they don't have good campaigns. They're not working with a good company, right? That's the obvious one. Assuming that's intact, you get into situations where contractor A is like, I'm paying you to do this. And that's their mentality. And that can't be the mentality. Like, this is, as much as there's stuff that we can do, it's got to be a collaborative environment. And we don't know your company the way you know your company, especially things that are ongoing changes that are being made. So if you start offering Hardy and you call me 4 months from now, like, hey, why aren't we targeting Hardy? It's like, because if you never told us that you introduced Hardy, it wouldn't be on the website. It wouldn't be anything that we would do in your ad campaign. We wouldn't be writing content for it. Right. So like, that collaborative communication is absolutely crucial. And it's always challenging when you have a campaign that's doing well and you're excited to get on a call and that person they're not mirroring that excitement. And you're like, what's wrong? You're like, I thought you'd be fucking doing backflips.
Yeah.
No, my sales guys just said the leads aren't, we're not getting good leads. And I'm like, and then you go through and it's like, okay, there's a certain percentage that aren't answered. You're going through transcripts, how calls are handled. So, and there's just a lot of opportunity to improve different stages of the process. And you don't want to be the company pointing the finger and be like, well, this is all your fault. But it's like, we've been doing this for a long time, and I can say we are incredibly prudent and put our best foot forward consistent in making sure that the stuff that is coming in, the stuff that we're reporting on, is as accurate as possible from an adjusted cost per lead perspective. And what I mean by that is like taking out the repeat calls, taking out things like we created an AI overlay into our call transcripts, so where we can determine a grade on it to say, like, I don't want to walk into a meeting and be like, hey, your cost per lead is $236. And you're like, yeah, but there's this one, there's this one, there's this one. So we do our best to make sure we curate that and deliver like a true cost per lead. But also there usually is work to be done on both sides of the street. And like, we got to keep our side of the street clean, whether it's Ascend or any other agency. And you guys have to do the same. There has to be awareness on it. There has to be intentionality on like, okay, if there's a process that's broken in the context of this conversation, let's say calls aren't getting answered, our clients come through a consult with me before they become a client. They pay me a consult fee. We credit that towards whatever they buy. And in that, like, there's a very big portion about lead intake and lead assignment and what your process is for that, because I'm hedging against a conversation 6 months from now to where it's like, hey, we've got a ton of calls, but we're not making any money. It's like, all right, well, 35% of your leads weren't even answered, so you never even had a shot at it. So like, I want to educate them on the front end. Why are we having a conversation 3 months in about not having answered calls? We talked about this. So like, some of it is having a willingness, and that applies to every facet of the business. Like, if you're working with somebody that you trust to be an advisor to your company, regardless of the role, they can bring the horse to the water, but they got to drink, right? So you got to be willing to implement those things and implement them fast, implement them right, and then be done with it. Yeah,
I love that. So where my brain goes with that, a couple things. One, like, I'm 4 months in at Alivo, so we've got a lot of stuff we can still do with Ascend. Like, even hearing the Hardy piece, like, if they tell us or they tell you, like, having that, making sure you're working with companies that are connected.
Yeah.
You and I can get on the phone pretty quick.
Yep.
Like, I know how to get a hold of you. You know how to get a hold of me. We can go you can run the campaigns, but now we can start educating Lily and Evan on Hardy, but you've got to know those things. And so I think at the high level, I would just summarize that as, don't check the box.
Yeah.
What we run into a lot is, and I'd be lying if I said we're the cheapest out there. We're not the cheapest out there, but we're also not going to just check a box for you and just like, oh, I've got it. It's not good. It's not converting. And I think the same would be true with marketing. Is there are plenty of agencies out there that you can just go check the box and say, well, I've got a marketing agency.
Oh yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah. And that's probably 80% of contractors.
And it puts you kind of in an uphill battle. Same with us, is like, I want somebody that's shopped around for AI. I really, it's tough to sell to people that have already tried it and been burned by it, because it's hard for me to say, you just checked a box with that one, we're different.
Oh, see, I love that. That's like, that's almost 100% of our customers. Like, look at, if I we can't carry our baggage from our old relationship into new. I really liked Val in 6th grade. It turned out she didn't like me. And I bought her a Mariah Carey CD that my sister wanted really bad, and it really put a rift in the relationship with my sister. It's Mariah Carey's greatest hits. It was a banger. And she found out I bought it for Val, and she like hated me for it. And then it turns out Val didn't even like me, right? So if I carry that on for the rest of my life, I'd never have any type of healthy relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like you've put that to bed pretty well.
Listen, we don't forget the trauma, okay? You just work through it. But yeah, to your point, it's like most of our customers, they've had 2 or 3 bad experiences. And sometimes that's what it's going to take for you. And I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but to be intentional enough in making your decision and it not being based solely on price, right? Because much like you, we're not the cheapest. I want people that truly want to grow their company and are going to put the pieces in place. And whether I have answers for you outside of the service we do, we have a vendor, a partner, right, that I can point you in the direction and be like, we've got a company that's here at IRE. They just sold. I started working with them years back, and it's actually a partnership. It's not a sale. But somebody bought into their company. They were doing like $250K in revenue 5 years ago. I think they did like 17 million last year. The one thing that I could say about this particular individual is his speed to implement things from people that he trusts as an advisor in his business was so substantially quicker than 99.9% of people. It made a huge difference, right? It really does. And whether that's on, process related to production, if that's back office stuff, if that's, sales coaching and development, standardizing SOPs, making a decision on a CRM, marketing, doesn't matter. He finds people he believes in, vets them well. And once he's like, this is my guy, he takes the information, injects it into his business. And it worked out incredibly well for him.
Yeah. Well, and I think kind of bring this thing full circle when I was talking about going and just adding a whole bunch of stuff to make your business better in 2026, be very cautious there. But I think finding those people that you can trust in the space, you and I have been in this game for a while. I've worked with thousands of contractors when I was at company camps. It's pretty easy to get to know them. You hear what works, you hear what doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's a reason we're sitting here recording a podcast right now. And it's like, there's a lot of podcasts out there.
A lot of podcasts.
I believe in Ascend. Like, I'm not sitting on a podcast if I don't believe in something. And I assume the flip of that is true with you. And so it's like, find those people that you can trust in this game and leverage them. Because if you came to me and you said, Michael, I need sales coaching, I'd probably ask you 2 questions and be able to tell you, hey, you need to go to this person or this person.
Right.
And it's pretty easy. I like giving 2 options.
You're a big options guy.
I like 2, and here's why.
Just to be clear, it should always be Ascend. All right.
I love it. Well, my thing is you have to pull your weight, if that makes sense. So like if I give you 2 that I know are both great and you go and pick one and it doesn't work out, it wasn't me that I said, hey, you got to go use this. It was like you, and there's probably a good chance that you didn't actually commit to whatever it was. Like, I guarantee you, we've both had clients come through that dip their toe in, and then they're like, you didn't solve my problems.
Yeah.
So.
Facts. Anything else that you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
I just think, the biggest thing that you can do is adapt to the customer. Like, know who the buyer is and just keep an ear to the ground of like how that buyer is changing. Put yourself in as a buyer, pretend you don't know anything about roofing and say, hey,
Super easy, by the way, to dismiss all your knowledge. But it's not. I say that in general.
You know what I'm saying?
But you can, right? It's
absolutely
something you got to work
Absolutely. Through. You just got to think of like, how do I buy other things?
Right.
Like if I wasn't buying a roof and I was buying something I had no idea about, how do I buy that? What do I expect in that buying experience? And I think sometimes that gets lost, especially with companies that have been going at this for a long time. And they're like, this is how we've done it. This is what we've done. This is what worked. And like you said, Bezos isn't the only one. Like you get on target.com and you're like, I need these 3 things. And it's like, for $10, I can actually just get it dropped off at my house today. Like I don't have to go pick it up. Like, so, it went to be like, I got to go park in the spot and they'd put it in my car for me, which was pretty convenient. Now it's like, don't even have to do that. Like making sure you know who is the buyer and understand how that buyer is changing. Obviously, there's a reason I'm at Alivo because I'm seeing how the buyer is changing. I think that's really important to just understand who your buyer is.
Love that, man. Well, I appreciate you coming today. This was a great conversation. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And
Absolutely.
Obviously, I appreciate the team at Roofer for help making this happen. Again, there's a link down in the description for Roofer, for Alivo. If there's anything you need, any questions you have, reach out to my guy, Michael. How do folks reach you?
Yeah, I'll just give you my email. It's michael.gogan, Gogan, at alivo.ai. Big on socials, so you can hit me up on Facebook as well, LinkedIn.
He said slide in the DMs, folks. MySpace is open.
MySpace, there it is.
All right.
There it is.
Well, thanks again, man. This was
Absolutely.
great.
Thank
And
you.
look forward to continuing to work together.
For sure.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.